Hello again and welcome back to another one. And today we have a couple of topics to cover, including the aftermath of both Joe Budden and Charlamagne, who both walked into traps a few hours ago when they decided to speak on Diddy. And boy, Joe Budden especially has landed in hot water as he's getting exposed from all angles, and fans have even pulled up clips from Royce the 5'9" that's turned out to be a horrible look for Joe Budden, and he's been on damage control since, as he has fired back at his ex Tahiri a few hours ago, and she fired back at him in no time. And the damage control is even happening on the Joe Budden podcast, where a co-host has now been accused of pulling a muscle while shuffling for Joe Budden. And we'll expand on this controversy in a moment, as clearly Joe Budden opened Pandora's box by speaking on Diddy. And today we also have more that shows the aftermath of Drake losing to Kendrick Lamar, as clips continue to go viral, as BBL, Drizzy and Not Like Us remain in stiff competition when it comes to the public vibing to Drake diss songs. Check out some highlights that blew up over the last few hours, including one from Isaiah Rashad's recent performance.
Just make sure you hide your little sister from. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs, and party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baka got a weird case, rise here around, certified lover boy, certified. Now fuck 'em up. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trying like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's popping A minor.
And while this was on, Azealia Banks continues to crash out over Drake's loss, as she has been on Kendrick Lamar's neck for weeks, dissing him and calling him out for being a hypocrite, and we'll expand on this momentarily. And today we also have a statement from Cassie following the infamous Diddy video, and also his apology, and 50 Cent reacted to her statement, and we'll get to more on this in a bit, as American comedian and actor Gary Owen broke down why people in the industry need to steer clear of 50 Cent when it comes to beefs, and we'll get to this at the latter part of the video. And starting with Joe Budden, after what happened with Glass House, you'd think he'd know better than to throw stones. And if you were with us for the last video, you know that his ex Tahiri put him on blast for having the nerve to call out Diddy for abuse, as she alleges that Joe Budden once threw her down a flight of stairs. And boy, Joe Budden kickstarted the damage control right on IG in a lengthy post. He went off on Tahiri. At Tahiri, you are a lying, failed gold digger that has abused, targeted, and manipulated many men. Outside of me, you lack any identity, which is why you've tried desperately to attach yourself to me for over 15 years. The last time I saw you, I purchased a mattress from you, and you were happy. You made the sale. You were fine then. There was the night after Starlets 6 years ago when you invited me inside your new place. You were fine then too. You were on my body your entire last stint on Love and Hip Hop, and tried your best to disrespect my son's mother in the process. I had to ask producers to keep you away from us like the cancer you are. Yet you continue to slight my name online because it is your identity. I don't speak to you or about you because it is low vibrational. You're a low-level Dykeman con woman that's been lying about you already know for ages. I pray you heal and move on one day. Hopefully this is our last exchange. Prayers to all real victims. Joe Budden certainly opened a can of worms after he was baited to speak on Diddy, knowing that he has history. And Tahiri fired back at Joe Budden with this on IG. Joe Budden, you can say whatever you want about me. Those that know me know I'm not scared of you anymore. You can keep bullying, intimidating the rest. Those that know you and are around you also know the truth. Said that they continue to enable your behavior. Your time is coming. And apparently, according to users online, she allegedly is just like Diddy and Joe Budden. They are all allegedly abusers, according to takes on social media, which is quite interesting, as we got takes like, we saw in 4K Tahiri beat a man on some therapy show. Why is no one talking about that? However, Joe Budden is not off the hook just yet, as some clips resurfaced of Joe Budden telling a story of how he went into her house unannounced because she won't answer his phone calls. That included this segment.
It was wild, but she responds to my text now though.
I bet she does.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to let women know it can happen.
You gotta put fear in a woman. Like I would pop up anywhere. I'm with you.
No, she gotta change her damn life. That's what she gotta do.
Why?
And check this out in response to Tahiri's take. Joe will never take accountability. He flips everything. The arrogance is unmatched. And now, even on the Joe Budden podcast, we see some shuffling for Joe Budden. Check out a snippet that sparked even more backlash for Joe.
I had a lot of people also in the comments, how can you take that stance, but you sit next to someone who's been accused of things? But let's just keep it a stat. You guys had a lot of things to say in comparison to some of the things that Joe has been accused of, right? I'm gonna address it. I've never been told by him that he's ever done anything like that. I love him, I take his word for it. If the day comes where that to be a lie, and I find out anything different, I will address him in the proper channel, and I will make every statement in the same fashion that would need to be said. But I ain't seen a hit, I ain't seen a punch, I ain't seen a nothing. And I hate that y'all go ahead and take these moments where we talking about one thing and try to tangle it into some whole other shit that has nothing to do with this conversation. So I'm gonna stand by my friend who I believe to be telling me the truth about situations. And now when I decide to speak on some shit that we clearly see with evidence, don't try to compare the two. And don't try to challenge my character.
However, Joe's co-host has been put on blast by Raki for protecting an abuser. Check this out. Imani, you're a freaking liar, and I am beyond disappointed. You could have easily dodged this ish, but I guess your livelihood now depends on it. And Joe Budden can't catch a break right now, as even Royce the 5'9's lyrics pretty much increase the temperature of the hot water Joe Budden's in right now, as this resurfaced.
Don't ask me nothing about Budden, I beat my girl too. You ask me why do I keep her, I say it's cheaper too. Don't ask me nothing about Budden, I beat my girl too. You ask me why do I keep her, I say it's cheaper too. Damn.
And since Joe Budden was going off on Drake a few days ago, some have expanded the irony, laughing emojis, but was doubling down on Drake. But we've been hearing stories about Joe beating women, and it is actual proven fact he dated some young women. They kept going. This can't be the same dude that was pushing the agenda against Drake, with 0 victims, surely, laughing emoji. And while this was on, Charlamagne started to shuffle for Diddy as he went on The View and tried to put it as a man's issue, knowing fully well that if any man did what Diddy did in that hotel, they would be locked up as we speak, seeing as 99% of men certainly don't have $50,000 laying around to bribe 4-star hotels for CCTV footage. But Charlamagne still tried it. Check out some snippets from The View.
I think when it comes to that situation, man, I think we shouldn't focus on the individual. We should focus on the issue. Because I think what happens a lot of times is, because of the celebrity, we get lost in talking about the celebrity and not talking about the actual issue. The issue is domestic violence.
Yep,
right. The issue is exactly what I just said about, men not going to do the proper work on themselves, and they're dealing with a lot of pain, hurt, and unhealed trauma, and they're projecting that pain and that hurt on the other people. The issue is patriarchy, right? Because as long as you have a system where men feel superior to women, and they're dealing with that pain, and they're dealing with that hurt, they're gonna project that. We're going to continue to project that onto our women. So I think those are the issues that we should be discussing as opposed to talking about the individual. And we tend to do that a lot as a society. We get lost in the celebrity of things as opposed to, okay, what are we here for?
Because it's clickbait.
Yeah.
It's clickbait.
Like, Diddy brings the engagement, but right now as I'm talking, there's a woman out there getting beat up by a man, right? And she's not going to get no news coverage. Nobody's going to talk about her.
I can do some shuffling too. Look out, man, what you gonna do? Look out, boys, it's coming through. Yeah, man, yeah, man.
and social media users have since put him on blast for shuffling. He's trying to protect his relationship with Diddy. Diddy is a black billionaire, Mr. Black Excellence, a superstar, and we are watching his fall from grace. No, we will not focus on the bigger issue. We will focus directly on Sean Diddy Combs. And some have now concluded MFers are just taunting victims at this point by putting abusers on platforms. My freaking goodness. And before we get to Cassie's take on this, including 50 Cent's reaction and more from Gary Owen on beefing with 50, Azealia Banks has been on Kendrick's neck for a long time, and since the beef started with Drake, she's been talking about how Kendrick is small, how he's a Nepo baby, and much more. And a few days ago, she blasted Kendrick. Kendrick's knob is wild trash. Everybody gotta stop acting like all the rap dudes don't have work done, where she also added, why call Drake a PDF file when 17 is the legal age of consent? And she was back with more a few hours ago. Sidebar though, seriously, where was Kendrick when there was a gay Mexican in a rainbow lace front running around saying the N-word, laughing my bum off? Do Kendrick know he doesn't have a "oh you fancy huh" nor a passion fruit or anything but small sneaker rage to give us LOL? And she added, what's really behind the beef? Who's got a crush on who? And boy, it is certainly not a good look when Azealia Banks looks to be the only one still crashing out defending Drake. But there's history when it comes to Banks and Kendrick Lamar, as even before the beef with Drake hit overdrive, she's been reportedly making fun of him due to his size the first time they met. Check out some snippets when she spoke about this.
But I think Kendrick is like extra doubly mad. I remember playing some festival and my brother was like, oh, Kendrick Lamar wants to meet you. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah, bring him in, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, my makeup's done, my hair is done, whatever. And I guess he was like standing in front of me for 10 minutes and I didn't notice because I did not think that he was that tiny. He was like really tiny. And, you know, when you're in show mode, you're just like, okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck, it's my Mac concealer. You're just going ham. Like, and my brother nudges me and he's like, is it Kendrick? And I look down and I'm like, whoa, you're really tiny. Like, yeah, I think that's where, I think that was the beginning of Kendrick's like secret hatred for Azealia Banks. But I honestly did not mean it. I didn't mean it. I was just surprised. I didn't know he was short and shorter than me. I'm 5'2". So Kendrick's gotta be like 4'9". And you know, when they take the photos, you know, they might be like expanding his jaw and stuff like that because he looked like a child. He looked like a baby. And I was kind of like, oh, and oh.
I prefer not to comment because it's not. I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble.
And moving on, Cassie released a statement a few hours ago where she thanked everyone for the support and well wishes since that video hit the web, and she concluded, I offer my hand to those that are still living in fear. Reach out to your people, don't cut them off. No one should carry this weight alone. This healing journey is never ending, but this support means everything to me. Thank you. And 50 Cent shared this and reacted, I can't wait to hear new music from Cassie. Get to it, let's go. And seeing how 50's ops keep getting exposed, from how we found out Game was a stripper, Rick Ross a phony correctional officer, and how Diddy, Gary Owen spoke on 50's streak so far. Check out some snippets from the Gary Owen podcast. Get some.
I tell you what though, who's having a field day with this is 50 Cent. I'm team 50 all day, every day. Why is it every time 50 comes after somebody, this shit is true? It's almost like he's the real Cleo. 50 knows shit that we don't know, and that shit comes to fruition every time. I'm like, all the people he's gone after, it's funny. He's not trolling to troll. He's trolling with the truth. I mean, you got time after time of 50 Cent just being right on the money with shit. And it's just like, oh my God. He's been on Diddy for so long. He's been from day one, the anti-Diddy guy. He's called him out on the violence. He's called him out on just being a bad person. And he is having a field day with this. 50 would be the last person I'd want to be on his bad side, because he'd probably find something out on me that I didn't know. I was like, oh, how'd you find that out?
That will be all for today, and I'll be looking forward to your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.